pretty great.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Prettiest little boat you've ever seen. This is really classic hourglass. Heck of a fine day sailor weekender. It's wonderful. Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one.
Hey, Captain! Where are you?
I'm over here, Randy. Do you know where we are today?
I do.
Where are we?
We are in Framingham, Massachusetts.
And where is that?
It's about 20 minutes west of Boston.
In 1770, General Gage, head of the British unit in Boston, trying to deal with the colonials at that point, decided he had to get to Worcester, and he was looking for the best way to get to Worcester. So he sent 2 spies out to Framingham. These guys went into the local tavern, I don't know if it's called like Budminster's or something like that, and they sat around, and of course the word spread around town that there were 2 strangers in town. So suddenly there's this unruly, unarmed crowd shows up outside the inn, and these guys get real nervous, and they say, we got to get out of Dodge. So, actually Framingham. So they take off, and this crowd's kind of hooting and hollering at them. They take off. They go back and they see General Gage, and they tell him, there's a lot of people in the town, you better not go that way. What are you going to do? So you know what General Gage did? He took another route to find Worcester. He went through Lexington and Concord. Now imagine if that crowd in Framingham had not gathered together and sort of diffused General Gage's original plan, Minutemen would not have been available to shut them down. So it's amazing. It's like a really weird little thing that's happened. Anyway, we're here to look at a boat that's sitting up in the backyard of the owner's lovely home here in Framingham. Around 1906, 1908, Alfred E. Luder started a boat yard right in Greenwich, Connecticut. He moved that yard to Stamford and established the Luder's Marine Construction Yard. They built the commuter boats. They were 100-foot long commuter boats. He had a son who was born in 1909, Alfred Luders Jr., but he was also known as Bill. Bill Luders is how most people have heard about him today. He came back and went to work for his father at Luder's Marine Construction. He designed a boat called a Luder's 16, which was about a 26-foot sloop that is still raced today as a very active one-design fleet. Prettiest little boat you've ever seen. Luder's has been known to have a really good eye for a boat. It's been said that his boats have a delicacy, a buoyancy, and a modernity to them that was unusual for the time. When you look at a Luder's design, you'll notice that the bow and the stern, the ends of the boat are always a little higher. She has a very severe shear to it, and the bows are V'd, and the transoms are tinier than the boats were of that period. One of his other well-known boats was a Luder's 33 made by Allied. The boatyard lasted till about 1968, and it closed down, and Bill continued to design boats. His last 3 designs were Sea Sprites, a Sea Sprite 28, 30, and a 34. And today we'll get a chance to look at a 28 and see if you can spot some of the things that we've talked about in the design parameters of Bill Luder's. Okay, Randy, here we go, pal.
I see what you mean about the lines.
Notice the ends. Now his ends were also a little longer than was customary in the time. He has a nice, good, deep shear to it. And a shear is a tricky thing to do because you can overdo it and the boat starts to look kind of goofy. You often ask me about boats that pound and don't pound. This boat's not going to pound. She's got nice V'd sections in here coming down, which are going to right here like so. They're nice V'd forward sections here. That's going to settle right into a wave very nicely. She has an hourglass lines to her right here. This is really classic hourglass with soft garboards in here. This area is referred to as a garboard area. Actually, on wooden boats, there's a plank in there called the garboard right there. Butts right up to the keelson and so forth. And it's the first plank coming out of the hull. But this area here is nicely hollowed out is for his design. And by seeing that too, you're going to know that even though the boat's 28 feet long, you're going to have some good headroom inside the boat, because that's your feet are going to be standing down deeper into that bilge.
And what does that mean for sailability with that kind of depth with the slack bilges?
This boat is going to have a very nice feel to sailing it, which means that, and I'm not, I don't want to pretend I'm a naval architect of any sort, but basically what happens as a sailboat heels over, the shape of the boat going through the water changes. Here, as this rolls over, the lateral plane of it, this boat's going to have a really nice soft feel to sailing the boat. It's just going to feel right. The keel is not full length. It's cut away, and the rudder's far enough aft, and it's a good sized door there on the rudder. This boat has got one of those old-fashioned pieces of wood up in the cockpit that we call
Tiller.
a tiller, right? We'll see that in a minute. Oh, he's got, look at that. Oh, look, that's the newest zinc we've seen on a boat yet, isn't it?
Shiny.
Yep. A tiny little two-blade solid propeller, but again, this can line up with the keel here and give you very little drag. Rig up. Here's your exhaust coming out over on this side. These are probably bilge exhaust down here. And again, notice very much like the Ericsson we saw, they're concentrated in the aft area of the boat. Now, this boat was worked on for 3 years by the owner. Another 5, 6, 7 years he's had it on the hard. Needs a little cleanup, a little work.
Yeah, what would you do?
Oh, again, Randy, you know the basic #1 rule, right?
Get it in the water.
Get it in the water. Go sailing with it, find out what it really needs, if anything, see how it looks in the water. Before you turn it into a Tiffany jewel. There's a couple spots on the other side where this particular boat was hit by a boat that broke loose from her mooring. And that's been repaired. She's ready for a fresh coat of bottom paint and a light sanding down here on this bottom. There's not a buildup on here. It looks pretty good. And that would probably wax up and look pretty good. The whole boat might wax up and look pretty good just before you throw it in. Now, very pretty lines. Here's a spot right in here. That's been worked on. You can see where some of the gel coat has crazed, and that can be just ground out and filled in. And that's a cosmetic piece right there. Let's go topside. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, hey, Randy. Glad you made it up that ladder. A little tricky. The dog and I just having a little chat right here. In the cockpit, we're 28 feet. I'm trying to remember now, we looked at a Nimble 30 footer.
Yep.
That was 2 feet longer. And then we looked at a smaller boat.
Pacific Seacraft 27.
27, right. Now, the 27 definitely had a smaller cockpit than this. The Nimble, I don't know, this feels like it's bigger than the Nimble's cockpit. The boat almost feels like it's bigger than the Nimble.
It does.
This is a simple boat. You're going to launch this. You're not going to have a whole lot of extra lines or things to tug and pull on. We do have a traveler right back here. Very basic, simple traveler with adjustable stops for it. We're sitting in a boat with its own tiller. No steering wheel, so you just sit here and steer the boat. When I was in the Navy, we raced Shields class boats, which were 30 feet long, considerably narrower. And the cockpit in that boat was like a midship cockpit. It was mainly most of the boat. But you just sat there and you could sail the boat all day long with a simple tiller. Right here beside me here, I've got all the engine gauges. We have fuel, temperature, and amperage there. I noticed right underneath me, we've got a hole for a bilge pump. A hand bilge pump would go in there. Your throttle and your gear level here. To run the engine. This has the original universal diesel engine. This is something that's missing on many new boats today. We call this the what, Randy?
The Lazarette.
The Lazarette, right. And it's got a good place for your cleaning gear. And it looks like there's a barbecue, and it's quite wide and deep. And these are just great storage lockers. Simply for all that miscellaneous stuff. Well, Randy, we've seen a nice lazarette back there. We have a nice long cockpit here, and nice and deep. And also, what do we like too? Deep combings on the cockpit too. Keep you in the boat. Big sail locker here. Enough room for all the life jackets and the bumpers or fenders, whatever you decide you want to call them out there. And he's also put a new wiring panel in. There's the wiring, all nice and fresh, and that was a real, dog's breakfast before. There's going to be a covering board that has to go in there to cover that, to keep it from spray and from bags or other things being thrown in there. I know you like that locker so much. I'm going to show you another one.
Ooh.
This is nice and clean, and actually, I don't know if you can do it, but we took a panel off here so you can see the back side of the engine from there. And you'll see the gray muffler down there for the engine. And if you look way down below that, you will see stuffing box down there. And the shaft coming out of the transmission. But nice and clean, huge space down there. If you're gonna go on a cruise and you wanna take a lot of gear with you, boy, both of these sail lockers, you know, if you wanna take kids' toys or extra food or cases of soda pop, whatever you wanna take, these lockers are great for it because they're not gonna be jam-filled with sails. We should go take a look at the foredeck. It just came to me. Foredeck. The owner gave me a piece of paper, which I think everybody should see. This is a list of items to be done and worked on in the boat. All the blue is what he's done.
Wow.
So I can't read these all to you right now, but trust me, it covers just about everything.
Pretty great.
Oh, it's unbelievable. He has added bow roller for the CQR, our favorite old plow anchor. And he put in the chain pipe here. A couple Dorade boxes with wind scoops on them, and these nice cowl vents for you. Both the hatches are identical to the original that were on the boat, and he's replaced both of them. So these are in perfect working order. He's added all the appropriate direction changing for his lines, and you see the cam cleats back there.
Yep.
Here's the step for the mast, and all these wires are waiting to go up into the mast itself to put on the running lights, the spreader lights, and so forth. Not a whole lot to maintain. Nice piece of varnish here. He's left the teak on the rails bare, and that's just a choice, your own choice. You can varnish them and they'll look great, but you have to keep at them. So this is easy to get to. It makes you feel good by doing it, so do it. Just varnish the handrails and you're all set. This was supposed to be a bright, hot, sunny day.
It's not.
These gloves are so essential today.
It is
Randy's
really
got the
raw.
same thing on. It is very raw. And there's just enough breeze coming out of these beautiful clouds. I mean, look at the clouds up here.
Let's go down below.
We're going to go below. Come on down, Randy.
All right.
Okay, pal.
Ooh,
What do you think, huh?
I like this.
Look around. I mean, it's really fresh. And how old do we say this boat is?
40 years old?
Yeah, 40 and change maybe. Look at the varnish on this. And we have nice fresh upholstery in here. He's really done a nice job, and it took him 3 years to pull this boat together. He has wonderful series of pictures of before and after, and it's sort of like a master class, if you will, of how to fix up an old boat. You would have a heck of a fine day sailor weekender with this boat. She's really sweet and clean and new feeling. I mean, just going to come down there and are you ready for this? She has an 8.8 foot beam. No, it's the narrowest thing we've been on. It almost feels like a dinghy in some ways from the numbers, but looking at it and feeling the size of the boat, it's really delightful. And there's just not that much to do to this boat. She's really ready to go. On the port side, you have a nice settee. You think, I can't sleep on that settee, but if you notice behind Sea Dog, there you go. You've got a place for your size 14s.
Perfect.
Or your size 9s. Whatever size you want to put in there. It allows you to have a bigger galley rather than just trying to stretch this out. There's a piece that comes out like so, and this piece drops down in there. So you really have a nice wide berth there, okay? Pillow with every viewing. Oh my gosh. I don't know what it is when we do these berth tests. I could just stay berthed here for quite a while. I'm ready to go. When I came on board, the owner said, you know, it doesn't have 6 foot headroom. Now I'm 6'1", and I have this hat on, which I have to wear for Randy.
It's contractual.
This is exactly 6'1". Boom, boom, boom. If I took my shoes off, I'd have a 1/4 of an inch probably to spare. So I'd say it's pretty close to 6'1". So there's plenty of headroom, and there's a nice overhead that's smooth, so there's nothing really coming down to protrude to bother your head. You're not going to bump into these. So it's good. It's clean. And boy, that's talk about clean. Come in here with a wet cloth and just wipe this whole thing down. This boat will be very easy to maintain and keep clean. Now she has just a 2-burner stove over here. It's the original alcohol style. It works very well, the owner tells us. Now the owner has also spent some time building his nice storage area. to really fit his china, which is great. A lot of times these are a little too small or a little too big or whatever. But notice everything fits nicely and neatly. That's all you need for a trip like this. No pressure water on the boat. There is a pump, a foot pump somewhere that he told us about, but it hasn't been reinstalled yet. So you just got the old-fashioned hand pump here. Here's our documentation numbers. The boat is federally documented, U.S. documentation. We have our good old icebox over here. There's no refrigeration on this boat, but it's really big. It's nicely lined, very clean. And I think if I look down in here, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What do I have here? Let's see. Oh yeah, this guy. This guy, finally. You know, we missed this on a boat, and I think there's some room in lots of places on this boat, but there's a nice slider right here. Let's check this out. Oh my goodness. What do you think we have here? What?
That looks monstrous.
This is what we call a two-hander. You know, this takes two hands to get it out.
That's for our 12-meter crew.
This is for the whole crew. This is actually enough food for this crew on this boat to go for a week. But this is the original engine.
Yep.
She's got a little paint chipping here and there. Belt's a little slack, probably slacked it off for the winter. You want to change the water pump here. The filter's right up here front. The engine mounts here are probably time to maybe consider a change on those, but this might last you for a couple of years until it's time to maybe really do the whole engine.
Yep.
But he claims it works well, but how accessible is this? Pretty good.
Really
huh?
nice. And for 40 years old, it's pretty clean.
Precisely. And here's the water intake down here. We're always looking for our through-hull valves.
Yep.
There's the engine water intake, all right here in place. Once again, we're running into a situation where the designer has decided to maximize the main salon and not worry about the V-berth area here, because it's nice size and would be good for non-Captain Q size people. What do you think? So we're going to try it.
Degree of difficulty 3.2.
The triple Lindy.
Is that hard?
That's impossible.
What's the highest degree?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah.
I think this is a 5. Actually.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Okay, so you go in this way. I think I fit okay this way. I have a boat hook to get me out of here. But
Yeah, it's a little tight for you.
it's a little tight. I would try the other direction,
Yeah.
but I'd be fearful that the jaws of life might be needed. The one nice thing about a head like this, you've got the hopper on one side and the sink on the other. The water pump is out of the sink for the moment, but see, by having it go thwartships like this and not trying to jam it into one locker, you end up with a really big space, don't you?
Yeah.
And there is a shower stall for this, and there is a pump component for that, but it's a little tricky and a little campy. My main point here is the size of the head on a 28-foot boat, and still with headroom. And even I would have headroom under that hatch, directly above you. It's wonderful. It's just like I have headroom right here.
Yep.
Up there, I'd have headroom under that hatch. Cute, huh?
Lovely.
Okay, Randy, we're so lucky the boats we get to see. It's really fun. And today we saw a Sea Sprite that has been redone over a period of 3 years by a loving owner. And this particular boat's really interesting. Now, if you remember, a few weeks back, we looked at another fabulous boat, a Hinkley 41. The man spent 8 years, was it? Or 6?
7, yeah.
7 years getting that boat the way it was, and it was primo, just really primo. This is the same sort of thing, but it's a little smaller boat, so it didn't take him quite as long, I think. He's done a fantastic job of doing it, of resurrecting and maintaining, and then eventually sailing himself his own Sea Sprite 28-footer. I think we should probably give this boat a reasonable rating. What do you think?
Yeah, let's rate it.
Okay, Randy, you always say that so easily. Well, what's your rating for it?
Ooh. So I really like the clean interior. I love the lines. If it floats, it gets a 10.
Right.
I'm going to give it another 5 because it's a Luder's design.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it another 3 because of the beautiful interior
Perfect.
renovation. And I'm going to give it 1 just for a fun factor. So,
Fun fact. Okay, 19. That's a good rating. I'll go with that one.
wow.
Yep, I think you'll be happy with it. It's just a very simple boat to sail. Jib, main sheet, jib sheet, halyard, jib halyard. That's it. Boom, go. Push off. Bon voyage and happy sailing this summer. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. So we're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previous. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.